So the cold Steel Voyager. I've done a video with this, comparing it, I think, to the Spyderco Endura, which really wasn't a comparison, but I figured kind of material-wise, that's why I did that. So I figured I'd just do a specific video for it now. I've been using it quite a bit here in the last couple weeks. Actually, the last month and a half. What is it, November 6th or so? I've been away on fires twice in California. 3 times total here in the late summer, fall. But and then I'm waiting for another call now, which hopefully happens before ski season, but that happens, it happens. So I've been using this. It's been out in the bushes. Been using this for a little bushcraft. Just a lot of carving and whittling, you know, typical. It's cut other things. I've cut up a couple of plastic bottles for kind of water containers, etc., but nothing real. Hasn't cut any whole lot of rope. Cut a little bit of rope, little parachute cord, zip ties, and then plastic bottles, like I said, but no real cardboard. Now I've touched this up. I've had this for a couple years, and I touched this up in mid-September or so. I haven't touched it since. I've been using it quite a bit. Haven't carried it. I normally carry, you know, this is what I'm carrying now. I got this bad dog. So I've been carrying this, not at work, but away from work. It's the Benchmade AFO, the original style, or maybe second style. But this is what I've been carrying out here. Very happy with it. I've used it in the past, but I've been kind of using this a little bit more extensively. And I must say, I'm extremely happy with it. Ergonomically, as I suspected before, and what I found was that it's excellent. I can't really say how I would improve it, because I'm not really a knife designer, but you know, I've used quite a few knives, and then I kind of know what works and what doesn't. This one is pretty fantastic. It doesn't have, this is how I use it. I just grab it like this pretty much all the time. Never really thumb up. Mostly it's whittling, so it's cut like this. And you know, sometimes depending on what I'm after, you know, a little bit of draw cuts. And then you're pretty much, I'm always choked up on it. So it doesn't have that finger choil, but it doesn't really need one. And it kind of the way it's designed, it kind of is a natural finger choil. It does have a sharpening notch there. This will focus, which works excellent, I think, for sharpening. Also doesn't really hook material, and then the thumb stud's completely out of the way, the cutting path. So, and as far as sharpening on my sharp maker, you know, that thumb stud doesn't affect a thing. So with the blade, you know, it's a full flat. Let me get that to focus again, maybe. Sorry. Anyway, so it's a full flat ground blade. It's got a little swedge up here in the clip portion. Otherwise, it's full flat. Geometry-wise, in my opinion, what I've found is it's great. Could thin up behind the edge a little bit if you like. Personally, I don't really know what the measurements are. I think it just cuts wood excellently, cuts everything excellently. It's just a really good slicer. So no complaints on that at all. Go through some dimensions on it. So it's got a 5 1/4 inch length of a handle here, and a 4-inch, pretty much a straight up 4-inch blade clip. This is a clip. And so overall length of 9 1/4, and then it's 64 hundredths thick handle. So it's a fairly thick handle, maybe on par with Griptilian. And then even this one is roughly, it's close. It's in there. It's a little different shape, but it's in there the same width-wise. So it's fairly robust handle-wise. And then the weight is 4 65 hundredths. They have it listed. Pretty darn light for the size of knife you get. Because I mean, it's large. It's definitely large in the large category. Fully functional. That's for a large, heavy use knife. And of course, it's got the triad back lock here, the stop pin and the triad whole setup. It's very strong. And then of course the Grivery handle, which is actually great. I've been kind of thinking what You know, obviously, if you change materials, the price of the knife goes up, which in this case is probably $50, maybe even less. Say you could probably find it for 45, probably 45 to 65. I've seen them 50 to 65. I think somewhere out there you probably find them a little cheaper. Seems like the going rate's about 50 to 65 bucks. Now they do have an extra large, which is another, you know, $20, $30, and that's a 5.5-inch blade or so. They also have serrated versions where you can get half serrated, full serrated, and then of course a tonneau. So honestly, pardon my nose, it's kind of chilly out here. Honestly, I'm gonna probably end up getting. I would really like to get a Tonto that I'm gonna use and carry just to see if I like that. I had a few other Tontos. I never really carry them a whole lot, but I think if I could grab one of these guys in that Tonto, they're hollow ground for one. I do have a hollow ground Code 4, which I really like. I don't really carry that a whole lot either, so I think I would carry one of these for whatever reason. I just think it's for how I use a knife. It's just I just like this grip. I think it's perfect, and I don't really have anything that I can say is better. Now I did bring out another knife for comparison, which I usually use because I really like this. It's the Benchmade Crooked River. Fantastic knife, fantastic ergos, but this is a $200+ knife, whereas that's 50. It does have a better blade steel. Here is the S30V. And I haven't gotten to it yet, but this is Carpenter BD1, and I can touch on my opinions on that, my findings. Obviously very happy with the Benchmade S30V, just happy overall with this knife. But honestly, you know, like, I don't know if it really does anything better than that Voyager. So size-wise, it's comparable. This is a little heavier. I think it's 5.2 ounces. Pretty much, you know, it's an 1/8 inch stock on the blade, and this is listed at 1300. It's just a little wider. I don't know what that would be, 3.5 mil, I think is what it is. You know, a little heavier. This is, like I said, 5.2 ounces, but essentially the same blade length, same blade type. It's not full flat. It's more of that saber grind. So I think the geometry for slicing is actually better on that. I do find it better on wood than this. How much, you know, percentage wise, I can't say. I just kind of will use them back to back just to see them. I'm very, very pleased with the way this thing cuts. Generally, whatever you have. I also carry the Microtech SOCOM Elite in the auto version. Very thin behind the edge, but a different geometry on the grind. So I'd imagine it's not, well, I have found it not to be quite as good of a slicer, but for generally what I cut day to day, it makes no difference whatsoever. It's just like on wood specifically, and things like if you're going to cut fruit, you know, and food for, because I mean, you're out and about, you're going to cut something like food. It's nice to have something that slices it rather than splits it or tears it. So this kind of a blade shape is going to be better, you know, geometry wise. A little bit more obtuse, you know, of a grind, and then of course then your edge angle is the same, you know, 15. I think all my knives, I get them, if they don't come really at 15 degrees, they'll end up that way because I just use a sharp maker, so it's fixed, a fixed angle. So that's kind of the way I do it. I don't know if it's exactly 15 degrees or not, you know, that's up in the air, but that's what it says, and that's what I do, and that's what's working for me dandily. So anyway, BD1, Carpenter BD1 is what we got here. So it's American. Knife's made in Taiwan, assembled in Taiwan. I don't know if it's the parts are American, shipped there. I don't know how. I mean, obviously it's American steel. Now they're coming with the AUS 10A, which I imagine it's the upgrade AUS 8. So, and theoretically, what I've seen is it's better than the BD1, but I must say that I'm extremely happy, and I kind of keep proving it to myself how happy I actually am with the BD1. And keep in mind, it's a $50 knife. Now, if you use the BD1 on cardboard or rope, I can't say it's going to hold up. For what I use this knife for, it's not strictly, but generally it's just I use it on wood, and then I haven't cut any game or or hide, animal hide with it. The S30V definitely holds up well to that. I'd imagine this holds up fine. It's probably better than the Buck 110's 420 HC. I imagine it's actually an upgrade to that. And this thing I do have, like, you know, I'll use it and then I will kind of test it against some phone book paper or something. Still slices great. Definitely not as sharp as when it started out this fall, but it's still holding in there well enough. I mean, I have no complaints. So anyway, it's very nice. It's a very good knife. And I see this knife as a really good work knife, a really good field knife, definitely a budget-friendly knife. Now with cold steel, there's several other models in that, you know, $20 to $40 range, I think. Like you can get the Fenwolf for 35 bucks. Definitely a different knife than this. And then they also have like the Working Man and a few others. However, I do see this as definitely an upgrade to those. For one, I think that they're just a plastic handle, no liners. They could have liners, I shouldn't say. This one is fully lined. There are liners in there. I don't know if they're really going to turn out, but it's fully lined, which is going to add some rigidity and strength to the knife. And it's going to help with the stop pin, making sure that it doesn't get wallowed out in there, and then also the pivot. So I've used this, I've definitely put a lot of torque on this knife, nothing a whole lot side to side, maybe a little bit, not a whole lot. I mean, it does get twisted when you're really grinding on wood, but it definitely has taken a lot of positive pressure. And I also use it to hammer on knots and stuff and knock them off, you know, real quickly, or even chop. And I've chopped with it, and it actually is a good chopper. Now also, I do have an extra large old Recon tonneau that I will carry, and it has the AUS 8A steel on it, and I don't have it with me. I'll probably do a review on that, but I only use that knife for chopping. I'll put that in my Camelback. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, if people have seen my videos, but I'll take that mountain biking with me, and if there's like branches or small trees, etc., across the trail or in the way, the stuff that I could remove, I'll just use that thing to chop with. And this is the same, you know, kind of the same thing, not quite as big, but it is actually a pretty darn good chopper, you know, when you do. And it's got that triad lock, which I you know, I'm not going to fully test that thing, you know, like this with negative pressure, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But definitely chopping is good, and then also little quick hard strikes to branches and stuff to knock them off. It's just nice to have this kind of a lock on a knife that you're going to be using in the, you know, in the woods. So definitely for 50 bucks, I mean, I don't think you can't go wrong. And if anybody watches this doesn't have one of these, I really recommend it, because I don't think you're going to be unhappy. Now, I don't think that the general population is going to want to use it for everyday carry, because it is pretty thick. It's definitely not a heavy knife. It's getting up there, you know, 4.65 ounces. You know, it's over 4.5 ounces, so it's not a lightweight knife, I wouldn't say, but it does take up room in your pocket. So as far as every day, I mean, this one's a little smaller. It's actually heavier by an ounce, a good ounce, a little, maybe 1.2 ounces or so. I think these come in at about 5.8 ounces. Doesn't bother me at all, but it definitely carries better, and it definitely takes up less space. And then this one is still a little bit heavier as well, maybe half ounce heavier, a little over half ounce heavier, but it takes up lots less room. But, you know, it's quite the cost difference is both those knives to this are, you know, triple at least. So there's that, and quadruple. You know, they're both $200 knives or so, and this is a $50 knife. So wow, and I think for 50 bucks, I mean, it's definitely the best deal you're going to get. I mean, you know, in the era now that we're in, where kind of $150 is kind of your average. It's kind of becoming an average price. Like, you know, like it's just wearing your face. I still think that cold steel is definitely the way to go. You get that Recon, and I can't say that I like my Recon better than this one. I do like that G10 on it. I don't know if I like it better than the plastic. So there is that. But I don't know if I think I already mentioned it in the video here, but one thing I was thinking was, what would I want to replace this plastic with? There's nothing wrong with it. You get good positive grip. It's light. I think it's definitely comfortable. When it's cold out like it is now, some of these mornings I get up because I'm kind of camping out, waiting to get that last call. So I'm out here on my mountain bike mission before I head home. So it's kind of cold in the morning, but the difference between, like, say, this knife and that knife is night and day. This thing will be, if I've left this outside, you know, it's going to be ice cold, or if it's in the cab of my truck or whatever, whereas this one warms up real quick. Put it in your pocket. You know, if you pick it up, put it in your pocket, or even if you just pick it up, you know, it's not going to freeze your hand. So it definitely has that. And then comparing it to like the G10, I think the G10 is probably pretty warm too. This knife does have the little bit of aluminum up in the you know, up in the tip there, you know, around the pivot there. But generally, this G10 I think is pretty good for that too. But this one warms up real quick. But if I were going to change material on it, I was thinking, wow, well, G10, I mean, that's kind of defeating the purpose. I guess it'd be nice, but that's just going to up the price. And it kind of wouldn't be a Voyager anymore now, would it? And the weight, I think it'd add weight to it. So what else? Aluminum maybe, but that might add some weight. It'd be cool if they had like really milled out aluminum. I think that'd be cool, but I don't know if it would sell. So if I could get one custom made with aluminum scales, that'd be kind of interesting if they're really milled out and it keeps the weight down. So there's that. So I've been looking at thinking of going for the like the Tano with the hollow grind. It's kind of like something I'm going to give that a shot. And you know, I definitely can't go wrong for $50. So kind of reiterate, I think this is a really overlooked knife, perhaps. Definitely think it's definitely worth the money. And if you're looking for a knife that's in that, you know, $40 to $100, maybe even more, this is definitely highly recommend this. And then they're coming with that AUS 10A still now, and I think that's an upgrade to the BD1, I'm sure. But like I said, I'm nothing but happy with this. So now that's kind of what I got. Hopefully I made some good points that are going to be good. People will pick up on and use. If not, well, it's still definitely worth taking a look at this knife. Oh, they also had a medium, and I think those are discontinued, and they might not be making them anymore, but that'd be a fine knife as well. All right, thanks for watching.